But welcome everyone to today's boot camp. Every Tuesday, Best Homes has a boot camp course at 11 a.m. geared to focus on a specific pillar of your business, whether it be listings, buyer consults. 2 weeks ago, we had Raul Henriquez share his um, process with lead gen and lead conversion with online leads. So for anyone who missed that, I would highly suggest going back and viewing that because it was quite um, one useful, of course, but inspirational because I know it's not easy to kind of hit the phones on a daily basis for 2, 3 hours. So when you hear people who do it and breathe it, it really does help kind of give you that aha moment. But that was 2 weeks ago, and hopefully some of you did the Raul challenge, which was twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays from 4:30 to 6:30, hitting the phones and calling your online leads. But today's boot camp is going to be technically listing 101, but we're going to add a little bit of a change in there in terms of today's market. As we all know, listing a house even just a few weeks ago is very different to listing a house today, let alone a few years ago. So with all that being said, I'll leave it off to Alan. Alan is going to be our instructor today for today's boot camp. He's going to review the listing process. Please take notes. There will be an actionable item at the end, and we'll kind of just answer any questions in the chat box, or feel free to let us know at the end or throughout today's presentation. But Alan, it's all you from here.
Thanks, Melissa. I appreciate it. Good morning, everyone. How's everybody doing?
Great, thank you.
Awesome. Can we see your beautiful faces, please? I mean, we got Sarah, we got Jamie, we got Laura, we got Lindsay. Let's make it interactive, guys. Let's not hide behind well, you got Erica with an awesome glasses right there. You got Sarah with awesome glasses right there. Awesome. All right, let's see Jamie, let's see Christina. I haven't seen most of you for a long time. Vanity right there, she's looking gorgeous as always. And then we got Lori and Lindsay. Let's show your faces, guys. Let's get it going. Okay, so today's topic is all about listings, right? And more specifically, it's not about, you know, how to go and get a listing in terms of like lead gen or any of that stuff. It's more about like, let's say you got a listing, what's next, right? And really what I would like to do is I'm going to share with you the step-by-step approach that I take, you know, as a real estate agent, if you will. At the end of the day, I still take on listings. And just to kind of give you an idea, guys, in the last 9 years, I probably went on about 700 or so listing appointments. And I probably listed over 300 homes. So my listing ratio is probably less than 50%, you know, but there's a lot I was able to see and learn, and it's always my pleasure to share what I have learned, to share all the mistakes and things that I had to go through with you guys. So hopefully you don't repeat them, right? But mistakes are good. These are all learning opportunities. So let me share the slides with you. And we're gonna start going through it. Let me see. Do you guys see my screen by any chance? Yes. All right. Perfect. Okay. So listing at 101. We call it listing 101, but in reality, I think it's a little bit more than just listing 101. And the agenda for today is going to be the key steps of a listing appointment, right? Again, you got a listing, you booked it. Congratulations. What's next? Okay. So we're going to share that with you guys. The listing management system, which in nowadays with the market shifting, the listings are sitting more and more in the market, you know, and we're seeing agents that first expected to get an offer 2 or 3 in the first 2 or 3 days. Now they're not getting any offers after 10 days or 15 days, 20 days, 30 days. So what do? How do we manage these listings, right? So we're going to talk about step-by-step process of doing that. Also very important, you know, once you have your client, it's important to make sure that you ask for business, ask for referrals, ask for the connections that they can make on your behalf. And then at the end, we're going to finish up with some questions and answers and the bonus topics. If you guys have anything that you want to really run by me or ask, you know, free game, we probably have about an hour and a half or so to do it all together. Okay. So before we start, guys, just out of curiosity, why do we want more listings? What is the reason why we want more listings? It's right there on your screen. Who can chime in? Who can share?
It says leverage, so we can leverage the open houses, the sign calls, all the things we can do with listings, going around to the neighbors' houses and giving them the information and meeting people.
Yeah, and it also says that 1 equals 2, so that's good.
1 equals 2. I love that. You're absolutely right. Sarah, you're spot on. It's all about leverage, right? We're leveraging through time, which is the most important, number one precious thing, right? Your time with listings with the sellers. At least from my experience and just talking to the agents here in the company, on average, we spend about 8 to 10 hours working with the seller from the beginning to the end of the process. With the buyers, you're spending hours and hours, sometimes even as much as 40, 50, 60 hours working with the buyers. So a lot more time involved working with the buyers. Also, with the listings, with the sellers, most of them also going to be buyers. So for instance, like if you go back and look at my production, I would say probably over 80% of my sellers worked with me on the buy side, and I helped them to buy a house as well. Okay, so that's 2 commissions. And then of course you get the leverage of sign calls, right? You put a sign outside, you put a writer outside and you start getting sign calls, right? Open houses. That's another way of not only generating additional buyer leads, but you can also generate listing leads, seller leads from the neighbors in that neighborhood. Online leads. And what I mean by that is you can take the listing, especially right now, and you can start blasting it and boosting it on Facebook, on Instagram, and generate leads out of that. And then, of course, you have the referrals and the rest of the stuff that comes with it. If you do a really good job, and most of you will do a phenomenal job with the sellers, most likely you're going to get some referrals from them as well. So one listing can potentially generate, I don't know, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 commission checks. That's why the listings are so valuable, especially right now with the market shifting. The sellers are going to see more value in working with an agent that knows what he or she are doing. This is very important because in the last 2 years, the sellers were spoiled. The seller's like, I don't really need you. I don't really need you to promote our market. We can just put it on Zillow, or we can put a sign outside, or you can just blast it on MLS, and we're going to get multiple offers within 24 to 48 hours. For the most part, those days are over. So now they're looking for an agent, and will be looking for an agent that knows their stuff. And this is where you guys come in. You got to know your stuff. We're going to talk about this in the slides. Okay. And ultimately, there's that old saying in our industry, which is you list to last. You have listings, you will have buyers, right? You will have buyers most of the time because, again, sign calls, open houses, you will have buyers. So for me, the biggest takeaway, and this is the book that I read before I even became a real estate agent while I was going to school, called the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, red book from Gary Keller, the founder of Keller Williams. And the biggest takeaway from that book for me was the fact that everything starts with the seller leads. Those seller leads become listings. And when you have listings, you have the ultimate leverage through time, through leads, through buyers, and also more transactions, multiple transactions. Okay. So where do we find seller leads? All over the place, guys. SOI, farming, expireds, cancels. They're much more prevalent right now for sell by owners, more for sell by owners right now than they were about a month ago, 2 months ago. Online leads, find out how much your house is worth in the current market condition. Buyer leads, about 30 to 45% of your buyer leads will be sellers as well. Pre-foreclosures, door knocking, open houses, radio, TV, investors, flippers, home builders, circle prospecting, social media, and the list goes on and on and on and on. Now, you're not supposed to do all of these things. Find 1 or 2 lead sources that are best fit for you and your personality and where you're at in your business right now, and just dive deep. Okay. All right, let's continue, guys. So this is not, again, this is not the class on how to generate listings. This is the class of really how to really conduct a listing appointment, price it correctly, right? Set expectations. And then, of course, you manage the listing once you have it. Okay. So you book the listing appointment. What's next? All right. So step number 1. What's the step number 1? Who's doing this right now? Please raise your hands. Who's doing this right now? When you book a listing appointment with the seller, all right. This is probably one of the most important steps that you can take, especially when you're working with the sellers, okay? When somebody calls you or you call them and they say, you know what, Sarah, I want to list my house. Great. What do we do next? Well, we book an appointment, correct? So we booked an appointment, let's say for Friday. Today is Tuesday. What do we do next? So here's what most of the agents do. Most of the agents will send an email, a generic email. Most of the agents may possibly follow up and confirm, but that's pretty much it. They go there without really knowing that much about the seller, what the seller needs are, what seller is thinking, what sellers actually know about them and the marketing and the services they provide, right? None of that. So we go there essentially blind. We go to that meeting not really knowing that much about the seller situation, but more importantly, the seller doesn't really know that much about us. Okay, so what we want to do from minute to minute that we book that meeting, we want to pre-sell ourselves. Okay, so how do we do that? Once the appointment is scheduled, we send an email with the following information. In the email, and this is important, guys, this is going to be a game changer for you, so you know, okay? You want to make sure that you include the agenda overview of your meeting with them. What are you going to talk about? Right? You're going to tour the house. You're going to see the outside of the house. You're going to see the inside of the house. You're going to share the comps with them. You're going to share your marketing approach. Okay? You're going to talk about the price, right? And share with them how you're going to be able to sell the house. That should be the agenda in your email. So this way the seller knows the purpose or the point of that meeting. So that's one thing, the body of your text. The second thing is you got to be able to include something of a value. I always included a digital version of my pre-listing packet. Attachments, PDF documents. It can be Canva or it can be a link to the website, whatever that is, but you have to have a listing packet. And I'm going to share with you what's inside of it in a second. The next thing is ideally, you want to have links to your client testimonial videos. How many of you here have clients? How many of you here close deals? Okay. How many of you ask for video testimonials? Why not? Did you guys do a really good service provide? Right? Were they happy with you guys? So why not ask for a favor? And why not share their experience with the entire world? Okay. So the homework for you, here's what you got to do. You got to go back to your clients, take them out for coffee, drop some sort of a housewarming gift if you haven't done it, and ask them for a 2-minute or 1-minute experience or testimonial with you being their agent. Got to be done. Now, what do you ask? What would you ask a past client of yours to share with the world? What would be the question? What would be the question to ask them?
How was their experience?
Hey, Vanity, I appreciate again your business. I really much enjoyed working with you. Did you feel the same exact way? Yeah, absolutely, Alan. Great. If you don't mind, would you like to, if you don't mind, please, quick favor, would you like to share something about our experience working together or your experience working with me? How I was able to help you with this house? Oh, absolutely. Boom, record it. It doesn't have to be edited. It doesn't need to be like the best audio or this and that. It's a 30, 40, 50 second or a minute or 2-minute video where they can share their experience with you, Vanity. So here's how you want to do this consistently, right? Are you guys getting a settlement statement right now? Before your client closes on a deal, are you getting a copy of the settlement statement? Estimated settlement statement. You getting that? From a title company? Please raise your hand. Okay, perfect. Do you guys review that settlement statement? Please raise your hand. Okay. Does your client look at it as well? Do we know that? Okay, why not? Because the client is not in a real estate industry. Most of the time they're reading settlement statement, they're thinking, what the hell is this? The left side, buyer's side, the right side is the seller's side. You have debits, you have credits. Please help me understand. So why not do a quick Zoom meeting with your client, go over the settlement statement with your client, and then at the end, where they actually see how much money they're getting from the sale of their home, or how much money they need to come up with to close on their home, you ask them a quick question. Hey guys, just out of curiosity, how was your experience with me? Oh, it was great, Sarah. Awesome. If you don't mind, can you just share a couple of words about your experience with me? So now they share that. And now you take that piece of the Zoom video, and it can be, again, 40 seconds, can be a minute, can be 2 minutes, can be 3 minutes, and you use it as a testimonial. So now you take that video, and the beautiful thing about videos, guys, you know this, most of you are branding yourselves very well. You can take that video, you can have it as a link to the YouTube page. You can post it on your Facebook, on your Instagram, Reels, Shorts, whatever it is. You now can repurpose that video in so many ways. But that's got to be done every single time you're working with your client. The more testimonials you have, the better it is for you. So that has to be included in the email. Here's another thing that you got to include, and you got to work at it every single time when you're working with your client, is you got to have a link to your review sites. Google reviews, Zillow reviews, Yelp reviews, Facebook reviews. Right? Here's what I would do if I were you. I used to have a domain name called 5 stars for Alan. 5 stars for Alan. You can have 5 stars for Erica, 5 stars for Sarah, 5 stars for Vanity. That domain name is forwarding to the link tree that has links to Zillow, to Yelp, to Google, to Facebook. And you send them a quick blurb. Hey, John and Judy, I appreciate again your business. Thank you so much. It was great working with you. Can you do me a huge favor? When you have a second, can you please rank me on these sites? Send them a quick gift card, $5 gift card or $10 gift card to like Starbucks or something like that in exchange. But it's another form of validation when you're sending this email to the sellers, especially the ones that don't know you. Now, it's easy to disregard that if it's someone that knows you or referral to you. But if you don't know them, and that's how you scale, by the way, it's very hard to scale if you only work with your sphere. In order for you ladies or guys to scale, you got to be able to obtain or get business outside of your sphere. Most of those people, they don't know you. And if they don't know you, there's a lack of trust involved. And in order for them to feel good about the decision to invite you to their house, you got to have all of that in place in the email. Okay? Again, very important step to showcase your professionalism, your approach, and the services and marketing that you're going to provide. Okay? Any questions about this? Step 1.
And I had a question for
Yes.
any agent who's new and they don't have any reviews. What would you suggest? Just skipping that part and just waiting until you gather those reviews, or utilizing others?
Utilizing friends and family. Talk about that person's character. Talk about their professionalism. Right? That's what we want to do, right? At the end of the day, you have people in your world that like you, that trust you, that will help you. And if you just tell them, hey, can you do me a huge favor? Can you put a little blurb about your experience working with me? And I'm sure you possibly even work in the previous life doing something else. You have, former colleagues, co-workers that you worked with in the past that know you, that trust you, that respect your knowledge and expertise. They can share their experience with you. It doesn't have to be real estate specific. It's got to be character specific. Okay.
Thank you.
You got it. Okay. Step number two. Step number two. So the first step, we're emailing. The second step is we go there the next day and we deliver the pre-listing packet to their doorstep. How many of you guys are doing that? Why are we doing that? We're doing this because not everybody's going to check the email. Not everybody's going to read through the entire email. I can speak from the experience. I get hundreds and hundreds of emails every single day. And to be honest with you, there are times when I just glance over it, I overlook it. I don't even look at the attachments. So by bringing this to them, number one, that's the second thing in terms of, hey, if you didn't have a chance to see the email, here's the print copy of it. But number two, you're showing them how much you value them as a potential client and how many steps that you're going to go in terms of, earning their business. So by going and delivering this to them, by the way, they don't have to be home. You can just leave it at their doorstep and just let them know, send them a quick text. Okay. It shows that you're actually doing something that most of the agents are not doing. Most of the agents are not delivering this the next day. They don't. But here's the reason why you're doing this. The sole purpose of these materials is so this way they can have a chance to look at it, touch it, feel it, read it, review it, and you're pre-selling them already on you. So when you're there, you don't have to spend half an hour, 40 minutes trying to sell yourself to them why they should work with you versus two other agents on the street. Okay, so what's included? What's included is a cover letter, essentially the same thing that you have in the email body. Okay, a cover letter with your business card, staple, explanation of the home selling process, marketing collateral, postcards, just listed, just sold, door hangers, flyers, property brochures, whatever you can put in that packet should be there that has to do with the seller process or the listing process is getting it sold. 200-step selling action plan, client testimonials. Again, anything that you feel like will help that seller in making the decision to work with you should be included. Should be included. Now, where can you find them? Our marketing department does a really good job. Our title company does a really good job in providing a lot of this information. You can ask for those to be available for you guys. You can put everything in a packet. You can have, like, I used to have like literally 10, 15, 20 of them just sitting in our closet room, ready to go, like ready to go. We would just stuff them with all of the materials, and they would be there ready for me to take one and deliver to their doorstep.
Ellen, can you, excuse me, can you speak a little bit to the 200-step selling action plan? Is that a document that is prepared, excuse me, someplace that we can find?
Yes, I will show it to you in a second.
Okay.
Okay. Step 3. Step 3, text them the video that day. So again, when you drop it off, you do a quick video, selfie video. Hey, Jamie and John, this is Alan with Best Homes Real Estate. Just wanted to let you know, my assistant dropped off a packet with my information in it at your doorstep. When you have a chance, please take a look at it and let me know if you have any questions. Looking forward to meeting you this Friday at 2 p.m. The reason we do that, again, is because video makes it personable. It's not static email. It's not a static text. It's a video. It's a 5, 10, 15, 20-second video. That's an extra step, I know. But again, you want to be different. You want to stand out from most of the agents out there. And this is how you do it. Step 4. Follow up with a phone call or a text the day before the listing appointment. So again, remember, we booked that appointment on Tuesday. We delivered the pre-listing packet on Wednesday. We follow up with them, step 4, on Thursday to make sure, hey, confirming the appointment and confirming that they have reviewed the pre-listing packet. Now, if they have not reviewed the info, explain to them it's very important that they have a chance to go over it before your meeting. Okay. So Jamie asked what's inside of the pre-listing packet, right? Okay, we talked about the cover letter, marketing pieces about you, explanation of home selling process, 200-step action plan, client testimonials. I used to have a newspaper, not anymore, just sold, just listed postcards, delivered in a portfolio box, okay? So let me quickly show you what I'm talking about so you guys get a visual. And by the way, these things that you can take them, you can copy them, whatever you guys want to do, that's perfectly fine. Okay, let me start with our 200-step seller program, we call it. Okay, so this would go out digitally via email, and it will also be stuffed like a booklet in a pre-listing portfolio packet. Okay, so my picture, the beautiful picture of the house, and this is my explanation how I sell or will sell their home. It's a 200-step system. Okay. Now, the reason we're doing this is because we need to educate the seller that we're not just going to go take pictures, put a sign outside, put it on MLS, and basically say, all right, let the offers come in. Those days are over, by the way. You need to do your job right now in explaining to them how you're going to be able to sell their house in a timely manner. And this program right here will go step by step in letting them know what you're doing on your end and what your team is doing on your end to prepare, to market, to negotiate, and ultimately sell and close their house. Step by step, right here. Okay. Now, again, 90+% of the agents, and I love all of the agents, don't get me wrong, they do not do anything close to this. But there's so many agents out there, guys, and again, keep that in mind. Our job is to stand out. Our job is to separate ourselves, differentiate ourselves from the herd, okay? And how you do that is doing this. Now, what you want to do is you want to make sure you go through this list, know what exactly you're offering, because you will have sellers, especially that are high C sellers, super analytical, that will be asking you, so can you tell me a little bit more about step number 59? You're like, oh, okay, let me see. Okay. But this is something that I would always include. I want them to see it. I want them to review it. I want them to mark the questions that they have about this. But this is the opportunity for you guys to pre-sell yourself, your knowledge, your expertise on how you're going to be marketing and selling their house. Okay. Jamie, have I answered your question?
Yes, you have. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Again, you can take this, copy this, do what you got to do with it, guys. This is all yours right here. Okay, so that's the 200-step seller plan. Here's another one that I would include. Client testimonials. Again, remember I shared the link to all of my reviews. Also what I did is I printed a booklet with all of the reviews from my clients. I just basically took it from Yelp, from Zillow, from Google, and I just copy and pasted, made it pretty. All right. So again, why do we do this twice? Because not everybody is going to read an email, go through everything in PDF. And I think having something in front of you that you can touch, you can feel, it's sitting on their coffee table or kitchen table or their counter is valuable. Having that is important, guys. Again, you can apply this also to the buyers. It doesn't have to be just the sellers. When you're meeting the buyer for the first time, by the way, we have also a buyer guide, very similar to the seller guide, when we talk exactly about what we're going to do for them. It helps you to stand out. Okay. Any questions about this one, guys? Nope.
If we are in Tucson, how can we get a hold of some of these? Can we
through your success manager?
Okay, thanks.
You got it. All right. And then I'm going to show you, and I'll do that. Well, I'll do that when we get to that slide. How about that? All right. Any additional questions, guys, on what's inside of the pre-listing packet? All right. So far, guys, so good. You're seeing the benefits of this? You like this? Okay, great. Let's continue. So here's the next step. When you arrive, first and foremost, guys, this is important, and I learned this the hard way. When you're heading to any appointment, whether it's a listing appointment or it's a buyer's appointment or even a showing appointment, but let's say it's a listing appointment, right? It's very important while you're driving, you clear your mind. And what I mean by that is, I want you to think about all the positive things about that listing appointment. I want you to envision how you're going to meet and greet these sellers, how you're going to be able to develop and build a rapport with them, how you're going to be able to make a connection, show your value to them, and get that listing. I want to make sure that there are any distractions. Make sure your phone is on silent. Make sure you're not having a conversation or an argument. Make sure you're not even listening to a talk show type of a radio. Like, it's got to be like nice music, whatever music you're into. Okay, you're driving, you're envisioning that you did agent to get the job done of getting that listing and getting it sold. This has to be done. Okay, when you arrive, make sure, please, 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 I beg you, on any appointment, by the way, make sure you're there 5 to 10 minutes early. So if your appointment is at 2 o'clock, make sure you do the latest you're there is at 1:55, ideally at 1:50. Because you never know sometimes. You never know, you can take the wrong turn. Sometimes these subdivisions are gated, guarded, parking situation, traffic situation, whatever, there are going to be situations. So you want to make sure that you leave a lot of time. And if that's okay, if you're there 10, 15 minutes earlier, gather yourself, get ready, okay? And you show up early, not late, early. It's better to be there 2-3 minutes early and knock on that door versus being 2 or 3 minutes late, huffing and puffing, sweating, it's 110 degrees outside, and trying to explain to them why you're late. It's a $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 listing, potentially $15,000 to $20,000 commission check, and you're late. Or you're not prepared because you just had an argument with your whoever. This is the time right now, guys, for you to be focused. You show up early, you ring the door bell, or you knock on the door, you step back. Don't stand over the door, especially for the guys in our industry, especially for the bigger guys. The last thing that you want to be just standing over to somebody next to the door, okay? So step back, smile, don't check your phone. You're smiling, energy high. You're there to really just get that business. You introduce yourself. You then ask for the client's name. You want to ask for the client's name and make sure you confirm it's them, because there are times when it can be kids, can be a friend or a neighbor, someone else. You want to make sure it's them before you walk in. And when you get that confirmation, the next thing is you ask them if you can come inside. Get a permission from them. Okay? Okay, very important steps here. Don't barge in, don't go in, ask if they're, John or Mary, and then ask them if you can come inside. Okay, step number 2. This is an important one. You look for the table where you put your stuff next to. You look for the table. Don't put your stuff on the couch, next to the sofa, next to the chair. You put it next to the table. You are a professional real estate sales agent. You're conducting business there. You're not sitting on a couch, none of that. Even if they invite you, you say, you know what? Why don't we sit at the table? You're conducting a meeting. So put your stuff next to the table. The next step is you ask them to show you the house. Now, there are going to be situations where they're going to be like, oh, why don't you go take a look at it? No, this is your home. You know your home best. You know what you did to that home. I really would love you to to really show me around. Smile. And we do this for 2 reasons, by the way. Number 1, you're taking notes. Make sure you have your notepad with you, your planner with you, whatever you're going to be writing inside of it, you have it with you with pen, and you're taking notes. You're taking notes on things that was done to the house, number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms, key selling features, right? But the more engaged you are in taking notes, the better it is for you. And also, again, it shows to the seller that you are taking this thing very seriously. Even there's nothing there to write. In other words, you go into the house, and the house last time was updated was 1986, take notes. Take notes. Number two, the reason you ask them to show you the house is because you want to build a rapport with them. This is a time right now for you to start asking questions, right? And making connection with them. And the best way to do it is when they're walking with you and they're showing you the house. Now, a couple objectives. Keep that in mind. When you're walking or touring the house, make sure you find something in common. Make sure you look at the pictures. If they have kids and you have kids, great, you have something in common. If they have dogs and you have dogs, great, you have something in common. If they have cats, you have cats, great, you have something in common. If they play golf and you play golf, great, you have something in common. Find some commonalities between you two. Compliment. That's another thing. You want to make sure you're complimenting. Even if the things are not the best or not the cleanest, doesn't have the wow factor or anything like that, you want to make sure you're complimenting them. This is not, by the way, the time to make suggestions on things to do or fix around the house. This is not the time. Again, agents make a mistake. They think they're helping sellers. Our job, first and foremost, is to build a rapport with them. And you don't build a rapport with them by telling them that the carpets have to be replaced right there, or the room has to be painted, or the place has to be decluttered. All of those conversations can happen afterwards. Your job is to make a connection with them. Your goal is to make sure that they feel like, they like you, they trust you, like you like their house. Put yourself in their shoes. If somebody comes to you and you never met that person before, and that person starts telling you, oh, you got to fix this, you got to replace that, I don't like that, how would you feel? You're not going to feel great, right? Same thing. Yes, Jamie.
Oh, I think that was somebody else.
Oh,
No, that was me. That was me. What if they ask you, what if they just come out and ask you what you think should be done to upgrade it?
that's a great question. You know what? You said, yeah, I actually wrote this down, and let's talk about it when we sit down and put together our plan and what we can do to really improve the showing condition of your home without really you spending that much money. Fair enough? Right? Because you don't want to get into the weeds right now. You don't want to start telling them what to do, because as soon as you tell them, yeah, these carpets have to be replaced, they're thinking $5,000. As soon as you tell them this bathroom has to be updated, $10,000. That's what they're thinking now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. By the way, same thing if they ask you like, hey, so what do you charge? What's your commission? That's a great question. That's a fairly common question I get from a lot of sellers out there. And my promise to you is once we sit down and I show you how we're different from other agents and how we're going to be able to promote and market your home and get it sold for a top dollar, then we can talk about my commission, which is, by the way, super flexible. Fair enough? Right? You don't want to go there. Same thing with the price. Hey, you know what? Let me finish, looking at your house. Let me write down the things that you guys have done to it and everything like that. I think I have a pretty good idea where we can start, right? But let me just kind of figure all of this out for you guys right now. And then we can talk about the price during our presentation or meeting. Is that cool? Right? Because here's what happens. If you tell them the price, oh, I think it's worth $550,000. And they're thinking, oh, I thought it was 600. And Becky, who's like a street down from me, a real estate agent told me that she can sell for 600. No matter what you tell them next after that, they're thinking she's trying to lowball us and we can get $600,000 from Becky. Right? So again, you got to be able to control your emotions, right? There's that old saying, God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth. Time for you to listen, ask questions and listen, write things down versus share your thoughts, okay? Another very important thing, again, while you're touring the house, guys, this is important. Ask them about their past experiences with the agents. Now, some of them did not have experiences with the previous agents, but most of the time when you're working with the seller, they probably had a chance to sell the house in the past and they probably worked with the agent. You want to find out how their experience went. Positive and negative. Again, the reason we ask that question, it's not just because we ask that question, it's very tactical, very intentional, very strategic. It's basically letting you know what they like and didn't like about their previous engagement. So this way you make the notes, mental notes, and you become an opposite of what that agent did. Now, if they haven't worked with the agent in the past, what you want to ask them is like, hey, what is important to you working with agent like me? What are you looking for? What are like 3 or 4 musts for you working with us, with me? Give me an idea. What are you looking for? Again, the reason we ask that question is because we want to know what they're thinking, what they're looking for working with that agent. If that seller tells you, you know what, I'm looking for an agent that knows my neighborhood. Now you got to be prepared to talk about the fact that you know that neighborhood. Or you got to come up with an objection handler where you tell them it's not important to know the neighborhood because most of the buyers that are going to be buying your house are not going to be living in that neighborhood. So they're not looking for the neighborhood specialist. If they're saying things like, well, I'm looking for somebody who's going to market and promote my house, now you got to go back to your marketing plan, right? And during your presentation, you talk about all of your marketing tools and steps that you're going to take to promote and market their house. Okay. But it's important to ask that question, guys. That's right there will help you to convert these listing appointments into listings at the much higher level if you just ask these questions. Here's another tip for you guys. Pay attention who's doing the most talking, most speaking, most conversations. Is it a husband or is it a wife? So if it's a husband, and you can see that he is the one who's dominating the conversation, he is the one who's opinionated, he is the one who's asking questions, your attention should be focused on him most of the time. Okay.
Ellen, can I ask back to the walkthrough before we pass on?
Yeah.
Especially in the beginning, there's so much information that's needed to be gathered to really correctly put that listing together. Would you recommend printing out the residential data import form and bringing that along through the walkthrough to make sure that you don't miss or forget to take notes on something in particular?
No.
No?
No, you leave that after you sign the agreement with them. You don't want to spend 40 minutes or even 20 minutes or 15 minutes going over checklist by checklist, the section to really, like, this is not how you build a rapport. It slows down the process.
Okay, that makes sense.
Right. So like, honestly, like, I don't even bring that with me. I never brought that with me. I send that over afterwards.
Okay.
I want to get in, I want to build a rapport. I want to share how I'm going to be able to help them to sell their house. I'm signing that listing agreement. I'm out of there. I'm not sitting there and going through the checklist. But maybe that's me. That's my personality, you know.
No, I think that makes perfect sense.
I'm not one of the patient people in the world. So, all right, let's continue, guys. Show them what you can do with the listing presentation. Okay, listing deck. Okay, I always, unless it's a sphere, somebody that knows me, I know them, you know, they know my track record. I don't do it, but like people for the first time or the sales for the first time, and most of my listings that I listed in the last 9 years were individuals that I never met with before. They don't know me. They see my stuff. So what I always did is I ran a deck or ran a presentation. Okay. And the presentation is there to, again, visually make them really understand that you're a different breed. You're a different agent. The services and the marketing that you offer is different from another agent. Here's the typical agent. The typical agent will show up, we'll have a conversation, try to build a rapport, and they'll do a good job of building a rapport, sit on a couch, on a patio chair, have a conversation, and then ask for the listing. That's it. That's how it works. And again, you can get away with that if you're really talking to somebody that knows you, your sphere. But if this is someone that doesn't know you, or maybe interviewing multiple agents, or maybe had a bad experience with a previous agent, man, you are not going to get that business. There's got to be substance behind what you're offering. And how do you do that? How do you deliver that? Through a listing deck. Okay. So in that listing deck, you must show that you stand out in terms of the services and marketing that you provide. You must show to the sellers what to do that is above and beyond what other agents in your market are doing. You must cover pricing strategy. You must specifically address condition and how the drives the interest of the offers. You must show results versus the average agent in your market, assuming yours are better. You must differentiate yourself. Okay, so I'm going to show you my deck that I ran. Okay, this is, again, you can take this, you can copy this, whatever it is. So really we're focusing on 4 steps here. We're focusing how it's priced, how it shows, how it's marketed, and then communication piece of it, right? The first thing that we talk about is really how it shows. So this is how really I set up a meeting, okay? First impressions last a lifetime, Mr. Seller. As you can see, this is what the typical agent does. Like these are the listing pictures of the listing that I found in MLS. You have the homeowner, you got all the clutter. This is how it looks. Okay, this is what we do in taking the pictures of our listings. Again, the goal is to present your home in the best light, right? So you can have multiple pictures here. You can have a link to a video, aerial video, whatever that is. You can stack this if you want as much as you can. This is something that you can definitely do. Okay, so that gives them already an idea that you're different, right? Then the next thing, how it's marketed, right? Well, we market your property to the top agents. And this is what we talk about. 30% of the buyers first found their home because the real estate agent sent them or showed them or notified them of a listing. Okay. Well, how do we do that? We talk about the traditional marketing, yard signs, open houses, networking, print. Okay. Then we talk about traditional marketing with networking, right? We know the secrets of effective networking. We talk about that. We talk about print advertising. Okay, this is what we do to promote and market your property through a print. Again, we have the open house signs. We have open house every day, info 24/7. We got all of that. Then we share our online advertising strategy, right? Brokerage websites, listing portals, search engines, social media, classified services, right? We educate them on the market share, where most of the buyers come from, online, real estate agents, and then a bunch of other things like yard signs, friends, relatives, builders, print advertising, right? What makes your home sell? Our database. We have over 60,000 people in our database. So again, show them a screenshot of our database. Social media advertising, right? Agent or broker websites. That's where they also carry our listings. Listing portals like Zillow, like Redfin, like Realtor.com, right? Advertising on Google, Bing, Yahoo, right? So we go through all of this thing, right? And then crystal clear communication, buyer feedback, agent feedback, marketing feedback, market updates, right? We go through this deck right here, like showing feedback. We're going to send you the feedback of everybody who looked at your property, communication transparency, right? All of this right here is shared with them. So this way they're not doubting, like, is this person legit? If this agent knows what he or she doing, are they going to sell my house for a top dollar, right? So again, this is something that you can take, you can modify it, you can make it your own, but you got to have some sort of a deck with you guys, especially if you're going to be going there and meeting with the sellers for the first time and they don't know who you are. Any questions? Okay. Know your comps. Especially right now with the market shifting, we need to make sure that our sellers understand where the market is and ideally where the market is heading. Okay, now I know it's tough, right? I mean, we cannot predict where the market is heading, but we have to do our best and really making them understand where the market is right now. Okay, and that's our job. They are relying on us. Now, they can get information from this source or that source. They can Google things, whatever that is. But ultimately, at the end of the day, they're paying you 6% or 5% or 4.5% commission. And in some cases, can be more than that, right? So they're relying on you and the level of expertise that you're going to be able to offer to them. Okay? What you got to be able to do in this situation, guys, is you got to do your homework, especially now. This is the time for you guys to do your homework. Okay, so here are a couple of things that I put down for you guys to really take into consideration when you are talking about the price and when you're running the comps. The first thing you got to understand right now is the fact that looking at what has sold a month or 2 months ago or 3 months ago is not really, how should I say this? It's not really the best way to really approach the pricing of the home. Okay, because the prices in some neighborhoods, especially at certain price points, they are adjusting, they are dropping. Okay, there are more and more houses that are sitting in a market. 2 months ago, there were about 5,500 homes active. Now it's over 13,000 homes active. Okay, I remember picking up a listing. I had a listing appointment 2 months ago in Goodyear. And there was a listing that closed in March for $975. We listed it for $975. After 10 days, we only had 2 or 3 showings, and everybody said it was overpriced. Even though there's the same property sold for $975, not the same, but similar property. We lowered it to $895. We got an offer on it. And then literally a day later, there was another house similar to ours that went on the market for $815. So when you're pricing homes right now, when you're running comps right now, I really truly believe you got to be looking not only at UCBs, not only at pendings, not only at closings or closed ones. You also got to be looking at the ones that are currently on the market that are active. And more importantly, that are been in a market for 15, 20, 30 days, 40 days, and they're reducing price. Okay, that's very important. Because the sellers, they're going to be looking at what has sold. And they're expecting you to tell them that, you know what, back in April or back in March, the same house sold for $660. Yeah, absolutely. But the market has shifted, it changed. So we can price it at 660, but more likely we're not going to get any offers. And that we really want to be chasing the market, then we got to lower it to 650 or 640. And we have to lower it again as the market shifts more and more. So what I would be doing is, if I were you, is I would be focusing more on what's currently active in their subdivision in that neighborhood or even a zip code versus looking what has closed in the past. Ideally, also, when you're running the comps, you want to make sure that you're looking at the comps within the subdivision. Because the appraiser are going to be looking at the comps within the subdivision. If they cannot find similar comps in the subdivision, they may go possibly outside of the subdivision, but most of the time they're looking at the things inside of the subdivision. Here's another tip. When you're comping the properties, make sure that you're comparing one-story houses with a one-story house, not one story with a two-story and vice versa. And the same thing with the sizes, right? Avoid comparing houses that are more than 15% in the size difference, because the bigger house, the lower price per square foot, all things being equal. But the biggest thing right now, guys, we need to understand is, as the market's shifting, we need to make sure that we're constantly, and we're talking about on a weekly basis, look what's happening in that neighborhood. See the competition, price the competition, and then update your sellers what's happening with the competition. That's got to be done. Those days when we just put the house on the market and kind of have multiple showings and multiple offers within 2, 3, 4, 5 days, man, you still probably can get some of that under $400,000 range. But if we're listing anything over 4, 5, 6, 700, you're going to be encountering competition, a lot of competition. And we need to make sure that we price it correctly from day one. But even if we don't, our job every week, you want to make sure that you check and see what's happening, and you track that and you share that information with the sellers. Any questions about the comps? Nope. Good. Okay. Most common seller objections that you're going to be getting. You know, I have to think about it. I have to sleep on it. I have to pray on it. I mean, those are some of the most common ones. Commissions. How you're different from a previous agent. What makes you different. How you're going to market my home any differently. How many homes have you sold? I'm interviewing other agents. Like, those are the objections that you're going to be getting. So you got to be prepared for those objections. That's a completely separate class. I mean, I can spend another half an hour, 45 minutes going over these with you. But again, write those down when you're going and meeting with the sellers. Write them down, right? Because, you know, I always did that. I would go on these appointments and I would get an objection. I cannot even handle that objection. I would write it down and then I'll try to figure out afterwards, because, you know, I would hear it again and again and again and again. But again, be prepared for these. Okay, when you're talking to, you know, to the sellers. You know, one of the I think challenges, especially within your agents, that I hear is, how do I actually have them like sign the paperwork, or how do I, you know, ask them to do that, right? In a way where it's not like, hey, can you sign the listing agreement? Hey, are you ready to sign a listing agreement? So there are a couple of ways we can go about it, and this is my you know, closing statement, if you will, or my pitch when I'm talking to the sellers. if let's say the meeting is going great and they're not really asking any questions, or they're like pretty much on the same page with me and everything like that, I just go to the point and I say, hey, are you ready to start showing, are you ready for us to start showing your home? That's what I said. Hey, are you ready for us to start showing your home? And they're like, yeah, absolutely. Or they're like, oh no, I just I need about a week or two to get X, Y, and Z ready. Right. Okay, great. So you guys are good as far as, in 2 weeks from now, you're ready to do this? Yeah, absolutely. We can be ready in 2 weeks. So boom, that's it. You roll out the listing agreement and have them sign it, right there. Another way to go about it, if we didn't talk about the commissions or they had questions about commissions, right? What we want to do is we want to really kind of use this question. Like, assuming we agree on the commission structure, do you feel like I'm the agent to sell your home? So you go through the entire meeting, entire presentation, you talked about the price, you talked about the marketing, you talked about everything else under the sun except your fee. So how you close them is you say, hey, assuming we agree on the commission structure, do you feel like I'm the agent to sell your home? The reason we ask that question is because all of the other things you want to make sure that they're out of the way. The marketing piece is out of the way. The communication is out of the way. Them liking you is out of the, like you want to make sure that they say, yeah, what is your commission structure? And that's when you talk about the commissions. Same thing with the marketing, right? If let's say you talked about the commissions and you talked about this, but you didn't really talk about the marketing strategy, same thing. Assume we agree on a marketing strategy. Do you feel like I'm the agent to sell your home? We call them tie down questions. Right? But you got to be able to have these questions available at the end, because there's going to be a moment during the meeting when you basically shared everything and they shared their thing and you're like, okay, so what's the next step? Right? So I usually go with this one here. Are you ready for us to start showing your home? Super excited, very happy, lots of energy. Okay. Have your paperwork ready. That's another thing. Make sure you guys have the paperwork ready when you are there. Make sure you have your listing agreement there, your agency agreement there. If you want to have your MLS input sheet with you there, that's great. But those are the two that you got to have. You're available. It's there for you. So when they're ready, I usually pre-populate them. So I usually put their information on it, their address. I leave the price open. I usually put the commission already in there. So everything is already pre-populated, right? So the price piece of it is super variable, obviously. And then the commission piece of it, if they look at it and say, well, I thought your commission was less, or can you do less? You can give them some sort of a discount if you choose to, right? But ideally, you want to keep your commission the way it is. If you present your value the way you did, okay, with everything that I just said right now to you and share this with you, the commission piece of it it's not really going to be there most of the time, because they really truly see the value working with you. Okay. What else? Oh, ask for the referrals. Once you sign that listing agreement, you ask if they know anybody that they can connect you with. That you can help with their real estate needs. When you go under contract, same thing, ask for the referrals, close of escrow, and then 20 days after the closing, ask for the referrals, testimonials. Very, very, very important. Okay. Now you got the listing. Now what? What's the next step? Well, the next step is we want to make sure that we are leveraging that listing. Okay. That's why we want to get the listing, right? We want to sell this listing, but before we sell that listing, ideally, we want to generate some additional business out of it, right? So again, posting it, boosting it on social media platforms, recording a video, posting it in Facebook groups, emailing it to your database, to your prospective buyer list, hosting neighbor exclusive open house. That's how you're going to pick up some additional seller leads and ultimately get some listings going. Install the for sale sign. And then we used to do this, not anymore, install the 24/7 hotline and everyday open house sign writers on the vacant properties. Not anymore. There's just too much striking going on with this one. Tips on servicing your listing. Try to systemize this piece of the business, especially if you're listing 4, 5, 6, 7 homes a month, right? But here's at minimum, this is what you gotta do, guys. And this is me just learning from the experience, learning from my mistakes, losing listings because I didn't do it consistently, is you gotta have to update your clients every single week. Even if there's nothing going on, you still want to check with them on a weekly basis. You let them know that you're working hard to sell their house. Okay. You also want to make sure that you follow up with the weekly email and really letting them know, okay, what's going on. Ideally, what you want to do is, if let's say you had 4 or 5 showings that week and you got the feedback from the agents, you want to share that feedback with your sellers on a weekly basis. Again, sellers need to know what is happening. If you're not sharing feedback, or if you're doing haphazardly, okay, they're constantly going to be thinking, why is she just sending me 1 feedback when there are like 7 showings? Okay, so get the feedback from the agents as soon as possible. Make sure you have some sort of a tracking form. I use Excel spreadsheet. Every feedback is tracked by the agent when it showed and what was the feedback like. And then all I do is I just copy and paste that piece of it in the email on a weekly basis. Okay. And then every 15 to 30 days, you are doing market reviews. Right now, I would do it every single week just to kind of see what's going on. And again, you want to sit down with them every 15 days. If your property is not moving, if your property is not having that many showings, not any offers, it's overpriced. So you got to have those conversations with your sellers. The rule of thumb is what? If you listed a house and you don't have any showings, you're probably about 10% above where it's supposed to be. So for instance, if you listed it for 500 and you're not getting any showings, you probably have to be at around 450. If you are getting some showings, but the feedback is not the best, you're not getting any offers, you're probably about 5% over. Okay, so keep that in mind when you're listing houses, because if you're not doing your job of studying the market, sharing your studies with the sellers, directing the sellers to reduce the price, guess what? Eventually, sellers will get tired of this, because every time, think about it, every time there's a showing, they're cleaning, they're putting things together, they're getting out of the house in 110-degree weather, they got dogs, they got kids. It's a lot to deal with. So every time there's a showing and there's no showing feedback, or every time there's a showing and there's no offer, man, they're not happy campers. And if you're just telling them everything's okay, everything's all right, we're just going to have to find out a buyer, we just got to have to find that buyer, you got to find that buyer, man, it's going to be a problem. They're going to let you go because they think that you're incompetent. And trust me, I'm talking from the experience. I'm sharing what I have learned. You know, especially right now, when you get that listing, it's not automatic. Right now, you got to sell it. You got to market it. You got to promote it. Tips on contract to closing. Once you get your listing under contract, okay, continue to communicate. This is very important. There are agents that either over communicate or they don't communicate enough. You got to communicate, right? Use the combination of emails, text messages, phone calls. Let them know what's going on, especially with the inspection report, the BINSR, the walkthrough, making sure that the utilities are still on for the walkthrough. Like all of those things have to be communicated with the seller. You cannot just kind of disappear, okay? Very important. And again, make sure you're constantly asking for referrals, okay? So some of the housewarming gifts that we do, like, you know, we create baskets for our clients, all kinds of baskets. By the way, these are courtesy. When I was listing homes few years back, quite a bit. Melissa used to do them for me. So she's awesome with the baskets and everything like that. Big shout out to Melissa. And also make sure you take a picture, happy picture with your clients when you're working with them on the seller side or the buyer side. Doesn't matter. Make sure you have something. Like for me, it was always like a big sold sign, and I would take that sold sign every time I would close the deal, and I would take it, take a picture with my clients, and I would constantly promote it and market it, share a quick story about their experience in buying or selling a home. That's really what you're going to be able to kind of like help you to stand out, is sharing their experiences, sharing their testimonials, and how the process was. Okay, that's about it. Any questions before we wrap this up?
Alan, I had one question in regards to the listing presentation. There's a lot of even tenured listing agents who don't pull up the PowerPoint or are uncomfortable and not sure when to do it. Do you find that you do it on all your listings or half of them, or is it really just case by case scenario?
That's a great question. So when it comes to my sphere, people that know me, they already kind of see my track record or experience. My services in the past, I would not do it. Okay, because for the most part, it's going in, it's asking how things are going, asking them why they're selling, and then just basically sending the paperwork, right? With the new sellers, the ones that don't know you, they're not sure if they like you or not yet. They're not sure if they can trust you. Okay, your job is to stand out, to separate yourself from most of the agents. And you're right, most of the agents, even seasoned agents, they do not have presentations. And I think that's an opportunity that is missed. Okay, because most of the agents don't have presentations. Okay, and I feel like there are going to be individuals, there are people out there, they really want to see, their visual people, they want to see, like, no, yes, you're going to tell them, but it's another thing to show it to them in front of them, like what makes you different, or how your system or your process is different from other agents, right? Having that in front of them is a key, I really truly believe. So most of the sellers that I worked with in the past, I would have that presentation. Now, would it be all like full-blown presentation? Sometimes, no. I would pick maybe 2 or 3 slides that are going to be the most impactful for them in making their decision, and I would just focus on those. That's it, right? But having that is important. Having the 200-step or 100-step or 50-step seller action plan is important. Having a list of testimonials is important. By the way, it doesn't have to be a booklet. It can be 1 page. You can have 4 or 5 testimonials there. Start with that. Like, I remember my first couple of years in business, I didn't have any of this stuff. I didn't have any of that stuff. So what I did is I seeked out individuals, coaches. I paid for their coaching. I would pay anywhere between $1,000 to $1,500 a month. I would sign 6 to 12-month contracts, and in exchange, they would give me their listing presentation, their marketing systems, right? And then I would take it and I would then tailor it based on my approach and the way I conduct my meetings. Okay, so here with us, you have that, you have all of this. I'm more than happy to share this with you. Again, you don't have to follow this step by step, but use some of it, apply it in your pitch and apply it in your listing business. But you got to have it, especially right now, we're seeing more and more listings. This is the opportunity for you guys to gain that market share. And the way to do it is to have the MO, right, to go out there and compete and get that business.
All right. Thank you, Alan. Any last questions from anyone on the call today?
Just one quick question regarding social media. do we have to get any type of disclosure signed or have any specific conversation with our clients to get their permission to put in their information on social media?
Not to my knowledge. You probably want to check with David Aroni as far as that goes. I mean,
Okay.
we're not really putting their information. The information that we're posting is a public, shared information. When they signed that listing agreement, they're authorizing us to promote and market their listing, their property on many different websites, right? So their address is there, their pictures are there. So whatever we're doing essentially is we're just boosting on top of it and making sure we get those leads into our database, right? It's a must. Every time you have a listing, you got to have the campaign that goes out to your Instagram, to your Facebook, to your LinkedIn. It's got to go out. You got to have a YouTube page where you can do a video, a walkthrough video. You upload it there as well. Like, it's got to be done. Why? Because you will get leads out of it. But even if you don't get leads out of it, here's the thing. When you're going in a listing appointment and you say, well, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, this is what separates me from agent X. This is my YouTube page. This is my Facebook page. This is my Instagram page with all of the listings, with all of the likes. What I used to do is I would take the listing videos or client testimonial videos, and I would just do Facebook boosting or run Facebook ads, video ads, and my budget would be $4 or $5 a day. And I would get thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of views on one of these videos. And then when I go on a listing appointment, I would say, hey, this is the number of views that I got for this particular listing, as you can see on social media. And it will show like 45,000 views. This is why you pay me 6%. Right? So we got to be very strategic, especially again, right now, because the sellers are going to become like more and more difficult to deal with because their expectations are still like in the beginning of the year. And we got to show them every time that we're working hard and we got a plan, a proven method to get the job done of selling their home.
All right. Well,
Yes,
thank you
Vanity.
all. Oh, go
I
ahead.
think Vanity has a question. I think she raised her hand.
So I just wanted to share something. I'm gonna have an open house right now. It's for one of Kenneth's properties in Buckeye. And there are 5 different houses for sale on the same street and by different brokerages. So competition, it's very obvious. I can show you guys real quick. It's pretty neat.
Yeah. I mean, you see this, right? I'm seeing more and more. I'm driving, especially on the weekends right now, and I'm seeing open house signs on every intersection. Open house signs on every intersection. 5 months ago, 6 months ago, a year ago, you'll be lucky to see one open house in the entire zip code. Now you see them on every intersection, right? So competition is definitely there, okay? But again, this is your job to, first and foremost, adapt, evolve, but also more importantly, to start conquering and increasing your market share with the listings. If you market these listings, if you price them correctly from day one, you can pick up listings left and right and sell them. You can sell them. And most of the sellers are also going to be buyers. So that's 2 commission checks. Cool. All right.
Cool.
All right, Melissa.
All right. Well, Vanity was sharing her video on all those different signs. It's crazy. I guess it's a matter of who sells the house first, right? So Ken out there, you better be, luckily he's leveraging, the people in the brokerage to host open houses, but for sure the competition is fierce. I did send everybody on the call today that is on the boot camp just a quick little email on some things to get started with. So this was a very specific step-by-step program on how to, one, get more listings, and then two, what to do in regards to when you're actually at the listing appointment. So starting with, I booked an appointment. Now how to get that pre-listing packet ready? Do you have one that's digitally ready? And do you also have one that's physically ready? So I just screenshotted the slides that Alan had. You do have access to these slides and the pre-recorded on our Facebook group as we speak. But those are the things you have to get ready for. I'm not one to say I love role plays, like personally, but they actually do work. Alan's a big advocate of role playing, and from Felix Sandoval, myself, there's a lot of agents, Kenneth Cano, Gustavo, they all role played at one point. So if you've never actually gone to a listing appointment, ideally, practice makes perfect, and trial and error, go to as many listing appointments you can so you can really learn. But you can get you can go overturn some of those small obstacles by role playing with a family or friend, or if you have someone within yourself that just go to their house, as simple as going to the door, going to the kitchen table, walking with your notebook, all that stuff that Alan really covered. It's one of those things you do have to experience. But first thing first, for anyone who has not had a listing, get this information ready, update for anyone who has listings, and then two, for those who have listings, Jamie has one, Sarah still has one, Ms. Vanity has one, and there's a lot of listings that you guys can leverage as well within the brokerage when it comes down to advertising, so you can start practicing those things. You do have access to our seller toolbox, which has multiple listing presentations, examples, PowerPoints. You can make them in Canva to a whole other level nowadays. The listing bees that we use for professional photos, they actually do also share a template that you can just plug and play your information. So I have all of those. The one Alan specifically shared today, I don't have that. So I know Susan asked Alan on our Facebook group for that specific copy. So I'll probably hunt down that copy that you shared on the Bootcamp today. But that's a great way to get started. Hopefully, if you guys do have those things, if you can share them over with me or with Alan himself, just to get some feedback on those listing packet presentations. The 200-step guide that Jamie asked earlier, Magnus does have a copy. There was a copy there that had some vocabulary, little errors in there. It has been revised for anyone who has previously printed this. Take a look at it. I know Vanity's like crossing out, highlighting each one of these with her new listing, just so that you really do know if a client asks you about step 123, what does that mean? You do kind of have it memorized, but this isn't a copy. You can have Kelly at Magnus update the cover. So the one Alan had, it had his headshot here, his broker information, contact information here, and he had a picture of a house that he did sell and list. So that, that of course is that much more personal. These are just kind of generic for anyone who needs a quick copy here at the office. But I hope this was valuable to you all. The step from here is to take action. So really just do something, be intentional with your time and your action steps, and just go get those listings.
Yeah, and just to add to that, thank you so much, Melissa, for putting all this together. Like one step at a time, right? So you don't have to have a full-blown listing presentation or your listing deck or your listing portfolio, right? Just work on one document at a time, right? Remember what we talk about, all right? Separate your day into 3 areas. One area is prospecting, having conversations with your clients, your sphere, and your leads. The second area is all about content development and marketing, working on your marketing. And the third area should be education and skills development, right? So skills development is this piece right now that you spend an hour and a half with us. Hopefully we're able to, to help you with that. And then dedicate, again, it's dedicating 1/3 of your time on content development and marketing piece of it, right? So one document at a time, one thing at a time, one review at a time, one video testimonial at a time. Don't just go overwhelm yourself with all of this, just step by step. Imagine if you just accomplish one thing a week, that's going to be 52 things that you're going to accomplish next year. My first 1.5 to 2 years of business, I didn't have any of that stuff. So the fact that you're starting right now and you have access to all of it, it's going to give you a huge leg up. All right.
Yep.
Cool. Very good.
Thanks, Alan.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Alan. You all have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.